Well, it's been about 36 hours. I've had the door shut and the adhesive sealant on the trim that went down to the body down here, I had it sandwiched in there to dry. So let's open this up and see how it looks. All right, let's come around to the other side here. So you can see it's not held in tight yet, but I'm not going to pull on it. I'm going to put some more adhesive back in there and then close it up again. Well, it's been another 24 hours, so let's see how this end of the weather stripping looks as far as how it's sealed up to the body here. Hopefully this tape doesn't pull it right back away from the body. All right, so that looks pretty good. Get my hand out of the way. So now that we've got it glued down, we'll go check the other side. And let's see how things look over here. I think that might be pretty good. It's not pulled away from the body at all. That's just the end of it. So the next step is going to be, next step, and I think the last step, is we'll take some of this silicone adhesive and we're going to take just a very light bead right along the edge of where the rubber is glued to the metal. A very thin amount so that we're not making a mess. It's just to seal up the edge of where those two come together. All right, and now I think with everything done, all the adjustments, all the final gluing, I do not have any noticeable gap along here. I get up to this corner, everything is tight. Looking down, it looks like the felt is making contact with the window all the way down. Now up here, I still have a little bit of a gap. The window is underneath this little lip like it's supposed to be, but it's got a lot of play there. I probably really need to put one piece of that filler inside there. I haven't done that on this side. I didn't think I needed to, but I probably will. Get to this corner, tight seal. Just a little bit of gap that I cannot get rid of. Again, this is just, I don't think there's anything more I can do with it. Looking down the edge, I have a seal. Don't know how good yet, but there's no gap that I can see. And then here, looks to me like I'm making contact all the way down. I don't know how much more I can really accomplish. That's looking pretty good considering what I had to work with. Passenger side, I am making contact all the way up the A-pillar. Trying to get a good angle where we can see. here, I have got it meeting up with this edge. I think it's gonna leak some water there. Haven't tried it yet, but I don't think it's a tight seal up against here. But I don't see an air gap. Over here, not quite as good as the driver's side. There is some space in there. Some space there. But down the side, I've gotten rid of all that gap. And a good seal along the felt there. So let's grab a piece of paper and see what we got. So driver's side is pretty good, and I'll bet I can get rid of this but if I take the T-top back out and put some more foam in there. Driver's side is going to be really good. Passenger side, not so much. Well, everyone, I have been working on getting everything glued in. Corners have been glued in. All my adjustments, final adjustments made. The connection to the T-top, all looking good. And look what happened. This side had not caused me any problems like the passenger side where I had 5 pieces. This was my first piece that I originally ordered of the driver's side, and I thought it was good. As I was making my adjustments and just moving this a few times before I got it all in place, that seam ripped out. Just like what was happening on the passenger side. But this waited to happen once everything was permanently installed. So now I've got to rip everything out, clean all the adhesive off, start from scratch. But before doing all that and starting from scratch, I am going to attempt to see if I can actually glue this back together. I am going to attempt to use a 2-part adhesive for rubber. And first you'll spray on some activator, then you'll put on a few drops of this adhesive. Try to line it up real good, pinch it together, and see what happens. That glue definitely glued it back together. I'm shocked that it's not pulling apart. It doesn't look the best, but I'm actually thinking it's better than taking it all off and starting over again. And then this, I've got a wrinkle now. I don't know how or when that happened. But I'm gonna try to heat it up a little bit and get it to release itself there a little bit. And what I used to glue that rip on the rubber weather stripping along that seam that came apart is I used some of this high bond. It says good for rubber products. And this is a adhesive activator. You just kind of spray on both ends of the surface, and then you come back with a very thin bead of this rubber adhesive, and then squeeze the two together. And I only held them together for a few seconds, and then let go, and it was holding. It didn't come back apart after that. So that stuff works really well. Well, I've got my new tube of silicone here, and I'm going to use the narrow tip that comes with it. And I'm going to put a small bead from the back side where the rubber is meeting the body peel it back just a little bit, put it behind there, and then smooth it out so you don't really see a big glob anywhere. And that's all it took, just a very little bit. Get it squished back behind the two joints and smooth it out with a little Q-tip or something if you need to clean it up a little bit. And there you can see I've got a bead of that silicone smoothed out along the edge there. And you can see there I put a nice bead of that silicone right along the edge of the weather stripping in the body to seal that up, and looks really good. Here I've got a bead of that silicone back behind the weather stripping, sealed it up to the body, and I've got a piece of tape here to hold some pressure on it to make sure it sets up tight there. And just make sure you don't put any tape on your window or you'll start peeling off some of your finish. One of the last things we're going to do on this weather stripping project is put some of this multi-purpose, I think it's like a silicone based lubricant on a few spots here. So if you look on the back here, you can pause that if you want to see all the things it's used for. But it basically is meant for rubber products to eliminate squeaks and sticking. It's really good. I should have showed it before I put the doors back together, but you can use this, if you remember from my past video, when I put this new weather strip piece on the front cap here, it goes down the channel that the window rides in all the way down inside the door there. A little bit of this with a little brush inside the weather stripping C or U-shaped channel that the window rides in helps the window move up and down a lot easier, and it doesn't get in a spot where you'll ever see it on the glass. It's just down in this channel behind your speaker there in front of the door. I'm going to put a very thin coating on this, all of this, and especially on this part where it rides up against this area. That way it doesn't want to pull this as much, it'll just slide over. And then I'm going to put just a little bit right in this area where it comes up against this part of the door, so that those have a good, less friction fit when it closes. I don't really want to put any of it on the exposed areas. I don't think it's needed, because it'll just transfer to the window and it'll transfer to your fingers if you touch it. So don't put it on any of these areas that's going to come into contact with you or the glass. And again, it's not going to take much at all. That's probably more than I need. And now that I'm dipping into YouTube a little bit with some how-to videos, might as well add it here. Only took me 3 sets of buying these to get the right color red to match. So wish Amazon would save the color you selected on a previous purchase instead of having to guess. I can finally start to peel up the plastic and get the seats in and start cleaning, get ready to actually drive this thing. That is exciting after a very long winter project of many delays and frustrations, but I finally have the headliner in and all the weather stripping in and all the adjustments made. Whew.